Cardozo Law graduates Richard Perkal and Shoshana Bookson are being honored as Alumni of the Year for 2011. In this conversation, they talk about how they made it to the top of their fields, their advice to new lawyers, and how Cardozo's alumni base can help support lawyers at all points in their careers.
I got into the law for very unexpected reasons. I wanted to be a writer.
You know, it's funny, I always wanted to be a lawyer. My father was a lawyer, and like most sons, I worshiped my father.
When I found out that intellectually writing was not going to make me happy for a long-term career, I decided to try my hand at law.
So that was my dream, to always be a lawyer. I'm not sure I knew what it was, but it's what I wanted to do.
Tell me about what you do now.
I love two things about my practice, which is a personal injury litigation practice. I love the people that I represent, and I love representing those people. I do have the luxury that I do choose my clients. They think they choose me, but I actually choose them. And the people that I choose to represent are the people that I believe in and that I wish to represent.
So currently I'm working at Irving Place Capital. I've been here about 11 years. I had practiced with Kirkland Ellis for about 12 years. So I'm a senior managing director and I run our retail consumer group. So we're basically investing in companies that are largely of $200 to $500 million of revenue. And we're looking largely for growth opportunities. So we invest in companies that are, you know, maybe 100 stores going to 1,000 stores. So one of the deals we did was like Aeropostale. We took from 100 stores to 1,200. So we buy them.
Take me back to what it was like back at Cardozo then. What was the spirit of the school?
The school was very new and young when I went there, starting in 1979. And it was an exciting place because of its newness and its freshness. What it lacked in physical amenities, it made up for in spirit, in excitement, in newness. And there was always a great feeling of intellectual curiosity there.
In the beginning, Cardozo being a very new school was more eclectic. I mean, you had an older population because you were taking people that hadn't originally planned to go to law school and then decided to go to law school later in life. And I think that today the school has evolved in a way to be more consistent with probably other law schools in terms of the diverse body, but at the same time, I still see that the school still has an appetite and pays attention to who the person is.
And I think that the specialization into the various different clinics that we have and have developed over the years have added a lot to the spirit and to the energy. There's always something new going on.
Do you have any specific remembrances of classes or professors?
In my very first civil procedure class, the teacher, the professor, asked the class to discuss one of the federal rules, and he said, "So if you don't like this rule, how would you draft the rule?" At that moment, I said to myself, wow, this is interesting. This is intellectually interesting to me and something that I could really see myself thinking about, not only in law school, but as a lawyer.
I remember when I took evidence from Peter Lushing, for example. His final exam was, I think, 5 questions, 6 questions. And I remember sitting down and reading the first question. And I got to the end of the question, and I'm like, okay, so I didn't know what to do. And all of a sudden, it was like there was different color on the page. Issues started popping up at me, and it was teaching the skills of just thinking outside the box.
Shoshana, you've been very involved with Cardozo women over the years. Why is that so important to you?
I bemoan a lot that women have a harder time not going into the law to begin with, but seeming to stay at it as a full-time career as their lives evolve. I am one of the few women litigators in my own field. I am still one of the few women who actually goes to court and who tries cases, and there are times I walk into courtrooms in this state where I am one of a handful of women in a room of several hundred male lawyers, including the judge. And when I started, it was a bit of a disadvantage. Lawyers regarded me as either an oddity, as a passing fancy, as somebody who was showing up for one day and wouldn't be back. But I think women have a lot to bring to the law, and I hope that later classes and current classes will find a way to maintain a long-term career in the law.
These days, one hears a lot about concerns about the economy and going to law school. Why should someone go to law school now?
Everything is cyclical, right? So Kirkland Ellis is a great example. Kirkland Ellis has a tremendous litigation practice, has a huge corporate practice. So when the corporate department's slow, the litigation carries the rest of the firm. The bankruptcy department carries the firm. So they're hiring. Intellectual property, which Cardozo is famous for, one of the best in the world, intellectual property is going to be hot for a long, long time. So I think it depends how you approach it. If you want to be sort of, a corporate person, it might be a bad time when you come out, but even if you're a corporate guy, you may feel that training that you had will work in other ways like it did for me. Every situation I'm in, whether it's dealing with employment arrangements, which I'll negotiate a contract for the chief executive officer for one of our portfolio companies. It's partly it's common sense, partly it's contracts 101. It's drawing on some litigation experience you may have learned along the way. It's also valuable, and it's putting it to use.
It may be the climate is a little tougher, but the feeling about it has been as consistent since the time I graduated law school in 1982, and it was also hard to get a job, hard to get an opportunity, hard to get a foot in the door, hard to find the specialty that you felt good in and knew you could do the right work at. I think that's a rite of passage for lawyers, and I think that it should not discourage people from going to law school and from becoming lawyers, because I think that good lawyers are always in demand, always, and their work is always going to be recognized, and it's always going to be appreciated.
Rick, your son is now going to Cardozo, following in your tradition. He's a 1L. What do you say to him and students who are in the school now? What's your advice to them as they think through their legal careers?
You got to do what you like, because if you don't do what you like, you're not going to do it well. But if you like intellectual property, if you like international law, if you're a good litigator, if you like speaking on your feet, think about areas where you can specialize, and not just any litigation. Think about practice areas within litigation that you think over the next 20 years are going to be growing areas. The school's trying to move in that direction to provide the courses for that. Try to take advantage of it, because I think that will make you more marketable and will make you more successful.
What do you say to alumni about why they should be involved in the school?
I think people who are not active in our law school as alumni are missing out on a very big part of enriching their professional and their personal lives. I think that the law school alumni have become so diverse and so interesting and so accomplished in so many different areas that people who shun that and who are not involved in it and be a part of it are missing something for themselves.
I mean, I think Cardozo should be important to any alumni. I mean, it's like any school. I think that the difference here is that Cardozo is a school that's a very new school. It's a little over 30 years old, and so it's more important for Cardozo alum to be supportive of the school, because the school is advancing every year, and the capital that we've been funding as alums to support the facilities has already shown dramatic improvement for people to be able to utilize the auditorium and other services that are offered, the student lounge and others. And I think that the alumni should be proud of what this school has accomplished in only 30 years. I mean, we're a top 50 law school, and I think the sky's the limit. And so I think the enthusiasm that I have should be shared by all alums, because they should be proud of where this school has come.